We saw all 6 of these teams practice. Let's start with the team that went to Pasadena last year. What did you take away from Wisconsin?
Big-time story when it comes to X's and O's at Wisconsin. Not much has changed offensively, but defensively things have changed significantly. Dave Aranda, the new Wisconsin defensive coordinator, has installed the 30 defense, meaning 3 down linemen and 4 linebackers, unlike most college teams that have 4 down linemen and 3 linebackers. If you are an X and O junkie and you follow college football, get the DVR ready, Howard. Get it ready. Every time Wisconsin's on, make sure you tape them and then study it.
Okay, I'll do that. But for now, I'm going to talk about Illinois, particularly the defensive line. Over the last several years since we've been covering, they've always had a guy in the trenches that was a difference maker. This year, they have to find that guy. Let's flip to offense and talk about the guys on the perimeter. They need to find the guy that can stretch the field. Miles Osei is out there, Langford's there, but they've got to find guys that can make plays.
Speaking of offense, what's the expression if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one? What happens if you have 3 quarterbacks? Trey Roberson started last year the first 2 games, and then Cam Kaufman took over for the rest of the season. But this decision may not only be about personnel, it may be about stylistic offense. If Trey is the quarterback, expect more run game from that position.
Now, I could use your help here. When you answered your question, I could have used a lot of information here. Okay. This is, without a question, the most talented team in the Big Ten. When you look at the offense, you talk about the weapons that they have, the quarterback, Braxton Miller, they're going to continue to impress people. Can't wait to see just how explosive the defense is.
One of the big questions is, can Penn State do what they did a year ago? Can they win 8 games? They start the season with no more than 50 veteran scholarship players, but they're pretty talented with the first group. I say yes, it's possible. Their schedule's favorable, and they have enough matchups where they can certainly do what they did a year ago.
What makes people very uncomfortable, Coach? Change is the answer, but not in this situation.
They wrinkled underwear.
Well, let's just stay with me, though.
Sorry.
I think Coach Hazel has done a tremendous job of getting the guys to buy in. When you watch practice, the guys are into practice. He's into practice as well. I think this is going to be a program that's going to be on the upswing. He's doing a tremendous job. It's really about the kids buying into that new change, and it looks like they have.
That Boilers team, one of 2 to take Ohio State to overtime last season, Wisconsin being the other one. Both those games ended with the Bucks on top, as did every game they played in a 12-0 season. A lot of blowouts in division games where some definite haves and have-nots ended with the Badgers in Pasadena for the 3rd straight year. And the talk with Ohio State is that they might end the year in Pasadena, but Howard, people aren't so much focused on them ending the year in Pasadena playing in the Rose Bowl. They're saying perhaps in the BCS championship game. And so my question for you is, are they a valid national championship contender based on what we saw in camp?
Not today. Not yet, because they have to go out and prove it. And really, they have to prove it mostly on the defensive side. When you talk about having to replace 6 or 7 starters in the front line, I think Urban Meyers, to a man, will tell you that we're not there yet. We've got a long way to go. Yes, they have players on that team that can get them there, but until you play with a championship-style defense, and they're not there yet, looking at last year's numbers as well, you can't be ready to compete for a championship. That's not to say they won't be there later.
Yeah, I agree. They could be there later. I would not call them a leading contender, but I'll go back to your point about the defense. Howard, it's not only that they're replacing 6 of the 7 starters up front, but they were ranked 6th in the conference last year in total and scoring defense with a veteran group. So now you replace the veteran group with very talented freshmen. That statistic still bothers me. There's still perhaps a missing piece. On offense, Braxton Miller was a little better than 58% completions last year, and that's okay, and he can get a little bit better, but to support him, they need a dynamic tailback attack. They may have some dynamic talent right now. I know they have some personnel issues, but I don't think they can not improve in defense, as you mentioned, and not have a dynamic tailback, because Braxton may improve, but how much better than 58%? It's hard to take a big jump in that stat.
Again, it sounds like what you guys are saying is perhaps given time, and their schedule might afford them that time. You know, the schedule is very favorable. But I'll tell you what, guys, it's just hard to go undefeated 2 years in a row in college football. I mean, no one's done it since Nebraska in 1994 and 1995. There's a reason for that. And we almost saw, they almost lost to Purdue last year. So, again, it's a challenge. They seem to be the team that's best positioned. If anyone in the Big Ten has a chance to play for it all, it would seem like it would be them.